Welcome to the Las Vegasville podcast, brought to you by Jump Studios, where we cover topics related to everything happening around Sin City, including the social media scene, food, and a whole lot more, with some of the best, most popular accounts around the city, and talk about their success in Vegas and beyond. I'm your host, Philip Zeng, aka Las Vegas Phil. Check me out on IG or TikTok, and feel free to text or leave me a voicemail at 702-551-4445. On with the show. Welcome to a very special episode this week, as we're here in this beautiful private dining room at Buddy V's Ristorante, located at the Venetian, with none other than the man himself. Celebrity baker Buddy Valastro is a pioneer of the custom cake movement, with an unbelievable body of work through his time with the long-standing family business, Carlos Bakery, and the hit TL series CAKEBOSS, with 4 New York Times best-selling books, multiple hit television shows, with the most recent one being 4 seasons of Buddy vs. Duff on the Food Network, and a following of over more than 20 million on social media fans internationally. Valastro continually establishes himself as the powerhouse in the culinary field. He's currently in Vegas celebrating the grand opening of the Boss Cafe and Buddy's Jersey Eats, both located at the Link, with more to come this year. Additional concepts, locations, existing favorites. It's an absolute honor to have Buddy Valastro on the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. How's everything been with your stay in Vegas so far?
So far, so good. I mean, look, I love Vegas. I'm here probably 5 to 8 times a year. It's like a second home to me. I really feel at home here. I love coming to check in on the different concepts. And I'm really, truly blessed because I have the most amazing staff at all my concepts. And I think that that's why we're still around and we've been successful for all these years, because they're really part of my family and they really do me in the right way, right? They portray with a vision and execute what we want to achieve in a great way.
Yeah, and I love that every location, you put your heart, you can tell your heart's into it. I mean, the Atlantic City Eats, Jersey Eats, the family recipes here. What does that mean to have that personal touch?
Well, you know, when I come up with a concept, right, it's not about, you really looking at a couple things, right? You're saying, what do the people want? And from being on television all these years, like, just take Buddy V's. The idea was, yeah, I've traveled the world. I've eaten in some of the most amazing restaurants, Michelin star, different people, some of the best chefs on the planet. But every time I would go home, I would crave my wife's cooking, and I just wanted that home-cooked meal that felt like my mom or my grandma or my dad, or, you know, and being around that table, like every Sunday still to this day, my whole family comes over, and there's 30 of us, and we eat, and we do that, we break bread together, that tradition, and I wanted to recreate that here at Buddy V's. I wanted people to come in here and feel like they had my Auntie Anna's shrimp scampi, or my wife's eggplant parmesan, or Sunday gravy, which my mom used to make.
I love the Sunday gravy here.
Yeah, you know, and just a nod to like my grandma, my dad, my mom, my wife, my mother-in-law, who are all amazing cooks, and they were really the culinary rock stars in my life, for who I grew up with. So, you know, when we came up with the concept, that's what we wanted to do. And look, knock on wood, we're celebrating 9 years in October. Not Incredible. Too many places go 9 years.
Especially in Vegas.
No, especially in Vegas.
Yeah.
And you know what? Every time I come to the restaurant, I walk the restaurant, I touch every table, I shake everybody's hand, and I ask them, I'm like, you know, like, what did you think? And I hear the same thing, and this is what really touches my heart. I hear, oh, every time we come to Vegas, we come here. Like, it's a destination. And I'm like, oh, you really like the food? Yeah, I like the food, but, you know, Giorgio, he's the best. Or Emily, your manager, you know, or Sean, or Chris or Brian, like the family here really represents my family. And that's what keeps people coming back. It's the service, it's the food, and just really who we are.
Totally. I've been here multiple times. My sister-in-law, who's Italian from Boston, as soon as she touched down on her last trip, this was one of the first stops for us. She's so excited that I'm talking to you today. She's watched every one of your shows and super excited. It really showed to the public in many ways when you opened this that you were way more than just a baker, and that you were always a bona fide chef that could do it all. Was this something you wanted or needed to bring out? Or was this always the plan?
Well, I was a little scared. I wasn't gonna, because honestly, I have so much respect for amazing chefs, and a lot of them are my friends, right? But I don't feel like a chef. I feel like a home cook. And that's really, I never really had any formal training. But if you come to my house, you eat good. That I promise you. I might not, chefenade the basil exactly the way Bobby Flay would, right. But you sit down and it doesn't matter, the basil's in there, you're gonna love it.
Right.
So that's why I partnered with Elizabeth and Kim. Elizabeth Blau. I mean, listen.
Vegas legend.
Just know she's a hospitality legend.
Yeah.
She's done so much for this industry. I'm so proud for her to be my partner in this. And from day one, we had a vision of what we wanted to execute. And I'm big enough to say what I don't know. I never really ran a full service restaurant. I ran bakeries. That's what I do, and we do that. But I really wanted to find a partner who knew how to operate, and she's second to none. Powerhouse. Everybody knows her.
Totally.
And Kim, just an amazing chef, and just great partners. I mean, again, 9 years. We've seen a lot of people come and go out of this building, but we're still here. And I'll never forget making the deal with Mr. Adelson, where I sold him the idea. I said, I love to cook. I said, my dream one day is to have my own restaurant on the Vegas Strip. Like, I drive down and I see, Emerald Up, and I see Bobby Flay and Wolfgang and Guy and everybody. I was like, one day, like, I wish I wanted to be me. And he shook my hand. He's like, buddy, we're gonna make that happen. And it's a true story. I'll never forget.
That's so cool.
I'll never forget the night that we were about to open. I was filming in Dallas, and I took a red eye, a late flight from Dallas. I landed here. It was like 12 o'clock at night, and the restaurant was getting renovated. And I walked in, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I looked, I stand outside, I'm looking at the Vegas Strip, I'm like, and I cried. I was like, man, what, like, I called my wife, and my wife, it was probably 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I just had to share this with you. It was like a pinch me moment, like, to be on the Strip and have my own restaurant. And listen, we've been here, and we've taken this place and just done what I think is an amazing job, and between Elizabeth and my staff and everybody and Kim, just I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, I mean, when you go down the Strip these days, it feels like it's the Olympics of restaurants.
It is.
Like, all the top chefs, and it's getting bigger than ever. There are more restaurants not only coming up on the Strip, but off as well. There are a ton of mom and pops as well.
And listen, that's the thing is, I tell people this all the time. This is probably the culinary capital of the world, right? They'd probably kill me in New York for saying that. Right? So I apologize in advance, but think of the concentration of concepts in food and people from all over the world in the proximity of where we are. Square mile per square mile, there's nowhere like Vegas on the planet.
Yeah.
There's really it's just not. And it's pretty amazing to be part of it.
That's awesome. There are a lot of
and I got just one other nod to Vegas.
Yep.
I think we're blessed here because we have the best hospitality workforce. From chefs to managers to waiters to whatever. This is a hospitality town. And I think that, because, I've had concepts in different places. Vegas, you always find great workers, great people, and they know it. Look, everybody's here because that this is your livelihood. We're based on tourism. We have to roll out the red carpet. We have to do things a little bigger. We got to make sure that the quality is there. We're getting looked at from under a microscope. So, we have to live up to that hype and be able to perform.
Yeah. Unbelievable. There's a lot of mom and pop shops and food trucks that listen to this show. Is there any advice you could share with them from your view of restaurants?
Absolutely. I mean, again, you know, I was a mom and pop bakery in Hoboken. I didn't really have aspirations of becoming the Cake Boss. I didn't know that it was going to happen that way. You know, I just really went and I did me. And any good restaurant tour or you know, food truck owner or little bakery owner or pizzeria shop owner knows that you are that heartbeat. You are the one that you know every single crumb, you know where every little thing is. And I had to live and die in that bakery, man. And I put blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, I would work 6, 7 days a week, you know, 8, 15 hours a day, holidays, weekends, Christmas Day, whatever it was, I made it happen. And I think that set the stage for who I was going to be. You know, the only tricky part is as you grow, it's hard to find someone who's going to be you. You're that conduit there, right? And it's easier in Vegas because you got a good workforce. But who's going to be that buddy at that bakery? Or, you know, that one person. So it's tricky. You have to have really good systems, and you have to have people who believe in your vision and stuff like that. You can't be a one-man band, because if you have to go and you have to make everything every day and you have to be there, well, it's not scalable, right? And I had to learn that, right? Because you know, I literally would be in the bakery and be doing 5,000 things at one time,
Right.
and I knew everything. I knew every cake order, where the hell it was. I would be talking to you and I would be selling you a wedding cake, and I would hear someone in the background saying, "Oh, I'm Gonzalez. I'm here to pick up my sheet cake. But excuse me, it's in refrigerator 1 on the top shelf," because I knew where the hell it was.
Yeah.
You know, and that's anybody who is in that world is gonna totally relate to it, because that's what they're doing. They're that blood, that sweat, that the tears, the heart and soul of it. Which, you know, and you got to be happy doing it. Like, you got to go and you got to put your grind in and wait for your big break, or you have to go after it. Like, nobody's just gonna say, "Oh, ding dong, you know, you want to be this, or do you want a concept?" Like, you gotta know your product, you have to be confident in it, and then you have to know how to sell yourself. So that would be my advice.
100%. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's a big thing, letting it all go, because it was your baby. You've worked there your whole life. You became the...
Still hard.
Yeah, you were the owner at 17.
I was.
And now when you're saying you need a buddy at each location, we're talking 7 locations in New Jersey. You got Philly, Orlando, San Antonio, Brazil.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, what we do is, and what I was able to do over, you know, the years, is we manufacture the majority of stuff in New Jersey at my factory. So what does that mean? We'll make the cookie dough puck, we'll freeze it and ship it, and then they'll just take it and bake it.
Oh.
We'll make the lobster tail shell, and they'll take it, they'll bake it. You know, so we send a lot of the raw frozen product that's what they do. And realistically, at the bakery, that's how we always operated, right? It wasn't like you were cutting and making lobster tails every day. You would make it for the month or for 2 months, and then every day you'd bake off a dozen or 20 or whatever it was you need, and it does not change the integrity of the product. I also got into packaging, right? Matte packaging. You know, it's funny because being a high school dropout, not bragging about that, but I never thought that I'd be talking about matte packaging and atmospheric pressures and how to preserve food and food science the way that I did, you know. And I learned old school. My dad, when is it done? Oh, you see the color on it, you feel the texture of it, whatever. He didn't tell me, you know, go take the viscosity and weigh it against water. Like, you know, like those are things that I had to learn on my own, and those are the implementations that I have at my factory. So like every single batch of cake batter, When it's to, after they mix it, they take it, they weigh the viscosity against water. If it's 7.1, they know it's a go. Every single batch of cake that's made, they take a piece, they put it in a moisture analysis machine we have. It's got to be between 31 and 33%. So it's like you have to use science and you have to put these things in place, these checks and balances that I never thought of. I mean, I never thought that I could make 15 or 18 cakes a minute by doing an assembly line and investing into equipment. Again, still butter, sugar, raw ingredients, no preservatives. The matte packaging, because we seal our cake slice, we get a 30-day shelf life in it.
Oh, wow.
Because there's nothing going into it. Not that it ever lasts 30 days, but
Right, 15 minutes.
but you have it. No, but the thing is like those are the things. It's like you buy hamburgers at home and they're in the vacuum package. They could stay in your refrigerator for 30 days without them going brown. So it's like using technology and what's been a struggle lately is the food cost. Like the the raw ingredients, eggs, butter, dairy. It's insane, and it's hard because you try not to pass it along to the consumer. You try to keep it as much as you can, but there comes a point where it's like, it's impossible. So hopefully we can get inflation under control and we can get back to just running business.
Totally, yeah. And I know.
And that's another big thing for the let's call it the entrepreneur who's starting their business. You got to know your costs. You got to use the tools. You got to really know what it costs, and you got to know how much do you really need to make on it. Or is it worth making this product for the 5 you're going to sell a day? And it's hard decisions, right? Because you're taking tradition, like my favorite pie that we make at the bakery, it's called a pastella di grano, right? It sounds great in Italian, but in English it's translated wheat pie, okay? So we take like wheat barley, we boil it, and then we mix it with ricotta, we mix it with like orange and lemon zest and sugar, orange blossom water, so it's got like a fragrant, it's almost like Italian cheesecake, right? But with these little like porridge-like wheat barleys in it. But my kids ain't eating that. Like, wheat pie? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? They're like, we want apple crumb. So it's like you get down to, can you keep the traditions? Because the people who lived on them and wanted them ain't around no more. Right? So now, you used to make 100 and now you're selling 50 and now it's 20 and it's 5. And being able to say like, what's the business decision we're going to make with that?
And that's tough to take your passion
It's tough.
and the bottom line.
It's tough, but at the end of the day, you can't be a starving artist or a starving business. First and foremost, I'm a businessman, so I want my businesses to succeed. And I've had home runs and I've had failures. Anybody who, you got to learn from your mistakes. You got to know what you did wrong. I think my mistakes were always real estate. If you don't have the right location, you're not gonna, you're betting against yourself.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I mean, real estate is not a problem on the Strip. I mean, with the success of these two spots, you've ventured a couple blocks down the Strip with Pizza Cake by
Pizza
Buddy
Cake,
V's at
man.
Harrah's. The Boss Cafe, which I went to a couple
Cafe.
weeks ago.
How was it?
Couldn't get enough of the Mutz bar.
Oh, I love the mutz, right? The mutz is great.
And it's such a cool thing because it's right in the corner. People are passing by. It's your father-in-law or someone else making the mutz.
The fresh mutz daily.
And how do you not stop?
And see that. Well, you know what? Honestly, the concept for that was I wanted to have some bakery, right? Because I didn't want it to be a full-blown bakery. I wanted it to have like our top signature items that we have at Carlo's Bakery. But I wanted to come up with sandwiches. And the sandwiches in the base come from a thing called bakery pizza. What is bakery pizza? Bakery pizza was the pizza that my dad used to make. So he used to have the old black pans, and he would make like a focaccia dough in oil, and he would bake them with nothing on them. and he would bake them to probably 3/4 of the way, about par baked, and they would become light and airy, right? And then we would sauce them, cheese them, and then bake them again to get the toppings right. And then you reheat it as people want it. Now, when you take a bite of that pizza, it's airy, it's crispy. Sometimes you get a Sicilian, you feel like it's a pile of lead, bada boom, it goes right to your stomach. This has got flavor. You know, we even went more zesty on the sauce because you're carrying a little bit of a thicker dough. It's a cross between a Sicilian, maybe a Detroit. You know, it's got a little bit of that flavor, but I just like the fact that it's, you know, you bite into it, you get the crisp on the bottom and the top, but the middle is still soft. It's got a little bit of a pull, so you know the way we whip the dough almost, so it really activates the glutens and makes it light and airy. And that's a style where my mother comes from in Puglia. It's called Alta Mura. So every year, if you look them up, they win the gold ribbon for the best bread and focaccia in Italy. And we kind of took that tradition and make it. And we take the same exact focaccia without the sauce, and that's what we're using for our bread and our sandwiches. So, you know, in which you had, and then, you know, like from the roast beef and mutts to the Jersey boy, to, you know, we're doing a Cubano now. It's just a really good flavor and flair. And I think the secret sauce is the fresh mutts. Like, you know, and that's something that's just so common that we take for granted in New York and New Jersey, I think, that you have it everywhere, right? All these old world delis are making it, and you go in, you get a nice treccia, you go home, you cut it, and again, you don't even refrigerate it. It's room temperature. It's creamy, it's juicy, it melts in your mouth, you know, it's got that flavor. It's got the right balance of salt, because it's got to have that salt that brings out the creaminess, you know. I love it, you know, I really love it, and I'm so proud of that concept.
Yeah,
what we're doing.
And what's crazy is that it's only the second place, I believe, on the Strip that's doing it. There's a place down the street that's doing fresh mozzarella as well. They're charging $70 doing a tableside.
Oh, wow. Listen. Yeah, no, listen, we want people to know what the Fresh Mutts is all about.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're proud of that. And listen, I love Vegas. I love the workforce. I love the clientele. I just want people to know that it's very approachable. It's great food. We do it with all our heart and soul. And give it a shot. Like even pizza cake. Pizza cakes at Harrah's, what's the concept? My two favorite things, pizza and cake. But there, I wanted to create a New York slice, right? And I felt like I wanted to bring that vision to Las Vegas. And for me, I mean, we're doing a 3-day dough fermentation process. You know, we're using Grande, which is the best mozzarella you can put on top of pizza. You know, where the sauce is to me is blander than what I'm using at Boss Cafe, because to me the perfect slice of pizza is a melody of, if you over cheese it, it becomes soggy and mushy. You got to put the right amount of sauce because you want to taste it, but you don't want it to overpower. It's a balance of melody between the dough, the sauce, and the cheese, and you know, with the 3-day dough fermentation process, we get such a nice, light, airy crust, but it's still crispy. And when you bite into that, you get a really nice marriage. And listen, they're doing something a little unconventional there, which I thought was a little nuts. They came up with a secret menu for at night. Actually, my manager, Dan, came up with it. I thought it was crazy when he told me, but then I thought about, like, you know, partying in Vegas and coming in after midnight. He's making a flaming hot Dorito pizza. So basically, it's dough, it's buffalo ranch sauce, it's buffalo chicken, flaming hot Cheeto powder, flaming hot Doritos, and mozzarella.
Whoa.
Okay? And then when it comes out of the oven, well, at first I was like, oh my God, I got to eat this. Like, you know, I was,
Right.
look, because again, I call it the way it is, right?
It must have been crazy.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
The guy, Julio, who I call him Pizza Jesus, right? That's his nickname.
That's a good name.
And when we were coming up with pizza cake, me and him worked for 6 months at my factory, coming up with the exact fermentation of the dough and stuff like that. He would call that an abomination pizza. He goes, what is this? You put this? What do you put in the pizza? So he almost had a heart attack when I told him, but then I took a bite of it. And the Doritos actually felt like nachos that like you get that went in the oven that are crispy and cheesy. And then the buffalo ranch sauce was like cooled down the spiciness of the flaming hot Cheetos, so it had heat, but it had balance. It was good. I went back for a second bite. I was shocked. And there's gonna be a lot of pizza people that are gonna crucify me for saying this or for selling it, okay? But it was good. You can't knock it till you try it, and if that's what people want, then you make them what they want.
That sounds awesome. I'm ready to try it.
You got to try it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
It might have to be after midnight.
Yeah,
You know,
with the
might have to
$5 shots.
That's right.
That you offer. Yeah,
That's
for
it.
sure. Going back, I'm talking more about pizza. I mean, the vending machine,
Okay.
the Boss Cafe vending machine. I've done that after midnight,
Okay. And?
and I was really surprised at one how hot the pizza was. I love the crispy undercarriage.
Yep.
Super impressive. And I also found it funny that as soon as I ordered it, people would be stopping by to watch.
What happens?
Yeah, they want to see what comes out.
Well, I got to tell you, that one really came to me, I don't want to say by accident, but I was looking, because we have the cake vending machines, right? And that's why,
Everywhere,
that's why I came up with the packaging. Right? Remember I said the matte packaging so the slice wouldn't dry out and
Yep.
it would be good. And again, we fill those things daily, especially in Vegas. Not a problem, but that keeps the integrity of the slice. So I said my next concept, I want to find one that has a turbo chef in it where I can do warm cookies. Right? So I was, my idea is like when you eat a chocolate chip cookie, it's okay, but when you eat a warm chocolate chip cookie, it's a whole nother experience, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who bakes chocolate chip cookies at home, they're trying to pick them up right before they're still hot, they're falling apart. Like that's the best. Like you got it, the chocolate's all over your face, and you're going to town. So I'm looking for this machine, and at the time we were finishing developing the bakery pizza. So inside this machine, it's got like a turbo chef. So again, we are heating our bakery pizza slices up in a Turbo Chef, which I gotta tip my hat to Turbo Chef, and this is not a paid endorsement, but those machines are incredible. You have so many variations of what you can do to something. If you want it more crispy, if you want it more soggy, you want to heat the middle. It's using a combination of infrared, it's using a combination of microwave, like it really makes things phenomenal. Like you cook French fries in it, and you're like, holy cow! Like this is crispy and it feels right. So this machine basically has one built in, and I said, what if we put the pizza in there? And I immediately sent my chef Brian Forgione out to go and play with it. I said, all right, go. It was in San Jose. We were just finishing up the concept, we were doing testing and stuff. So he went out there and I'm like, what do you think? He's like, buddy, I really think it works. Like, we got the time, we got the temp, it's refrigerated. We put the slices in there every day. We fill it up every day, takes it, puts it in Turbo Chef, heats it, it comes out. And to your point, the crispy bottom is the crazy thing.
Yeah,
Right.
blown away at that.
Yeah, and we have like this little, we think it's called like a scepter. So it's like a little piece of aluminum foil on the bottom. When the microwave hits that, it helps actually make it hot. So it becomes like think of like a cast iron skillet, or like almost helping the dough fry.
Yeah.
So, and look, we wouldn't put it in there if we didn't think that it was good. right? You know, I know people are going to say, oh, pizza out of a vending machine. It's really not being made. I think if you try to make a whole pizza in it, I don't think that's going to work. But this particular, if I took a New York slice and put it in there, it wouldn't be the same.
It has to be the bakery.
It has to be the bakery pizza because it's a little thicker, which means the microwave is going to heat the middle up, but not make it soggy like if you microwave a slice of pizza. And the infrared is going to crisp up the top and bottom so that when you get that bite of it, it's moist in the middle and crispy on the top and bottom. And it's been selling really good. You know, I think we're going to put out a couple more machines. I think people are intrigued by it. And we're proud of the product. I really feel like when you get a slice of pizza out of that machine, it doesn't feel like vending machine pizza. I mean, look, you ate it.
Yeah.
And be honest with me. If
Yeah.
you thought, you know, what I'm saying is crazy.
No, I was super impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how smart was it to put it right in front of the Link elevators? I mean, the sales after midnight must be insane.
They totally. And that's the thing is like, even with Pizza Cake and Jersey Eats, all my concept, we everything closes early, but people are hungry. Vegas is kind of like New York. It's a city that never sleeps, and people want food. So you want to be able to get them, and there's nothing better than coming back to your room and getting a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
So being able to get that pizza, you know, every night we've been selling out, and it's been awesome to be able to see that happen. And again, we make it fresh at the Boss Cafe every day. They load the machine up probably 2 times a day because it's you know, it's turning over that time, and you know, it's been awesome. It's been really cool to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, and I think only guys can understand this, but there's even a cold pizza option.
Yeah.
Which anyone who's ever lived with me knows is a breakfast champions. So obviously it's personal to you as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, for me, I really wanted to create the void of, you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, what are we going to eat? You know, or do you have to walk somewhere? Like you're walking up to the elevator, boom, yeah, grab a slice, go up to the room, and, you know, and the same thing with the cake slice. Like you would be surprised how many cake slices sell after midnight.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Okay.
you know, you come back, you want a little cake.
How did you become the gourmet vending machine king?
You
of
know-
town? Airport. I see the kids
Yeah.
at the airport everywhere.
Listen, about 6 years ago, no, about 4 or 5 years ago, guy Gino, my partner in the vending, came to me in New Jersey. He's from Canada, and he wanted to have a meeting with me, and they were like, will you talk to this guy? I said, yeah, bring him in, and we started talking. He's like, I got this idea of doing this vending machine, and I want to put your cake slices in it. And I'm like, who the hell is going to want to buy cake out of a vending? I thought he was crazy. He's like, well, listen, do you mind if I test it? He goes, I'm going to bring a machine to the Javits Center. We're doing something. Just provide me with the cake slices. And we were already doing them. So I said, yeah. I said, you know, you got nothing to lose. So we put it there. And he wind up, you know, it was a huge success. So he says, I want to beta 3 machines in Canada. All right? So I said, okay. You know, so, you know, we said, we'll make the cake in New Jersey, we'll ship it up to Canada, and you fill the machines every day. The first month, 3 machines moved 60,000 cake slices. And we're like, okay, I guess this is a business, right?
Wow.
And then COVID hit, and then, you know, it's hard because we call it automated retail. Vending machine has got like a bad rap, right? You know, and if you go out and look at our cake machine, it doesn't look like a vending machine.
No.
It's beautiful. It looks like a mini bakery, you know, and it's branded beautifully and it's lit up and
So eye-catching.
it is, right? You know what I'm
the
saying?
rainbow, all that. Yeah.
You know, it doesn't just look like a crappy old, you know, vending machine. So the you know, the upscale terminology
Okay.
is automated retail.
Okay.
And we did the same with the Boss Cafe, with the pizza one, and we actually created a topper that's going on there, so they're not even 100% done. I mean, we really only launched them like a month and a half ago. So, you know, everything is kind of relatively new, but it's the most insane business model in the world, because if it doesn't work, you pick a bad location, you unplug it, and you move it. Right? I mean, it's just, think about what the cost of building a whole brick and mortar is out, and it's a phenomenal business that you can do, and listen, it's been great. So now we got about 50 machines out there, throughout the country, and then we'll probably be rolling out, another 500 to 1,000. Soon. So but it's a pretty crazy thing. But you think of places where, like I was at the Vegas airport and I was taking a red eye home maybe a couple months ago, and it was like 10 o'clock, everything was closed, nothing was open. And I said, man, you know how nice it would be able to just grab a slice of pizza out of the pizza machine here, right? And I'm not gonna say the concept, but there was one place open, and the pizza, and it was horrible. It was really like, and I'm not, and look,
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, even bad pizza, is okay. Like when I would travel, like pizza was always even bad pizza is not so bad, right? So I would always get pizza, and it was really like unedible. Like it was bad, and I was like, man, the stuff out of the vending machine is 500 times better than this garbage that I had to wait a half an hour for, and it was insane.
Can you imagine working at that place and seeing you walk up there, order a slice of pizza? I mean, shitting their pants.
Yeah, no, but look, and again, I don't ever crap on anybody's product or whatever. Even if I don't like something, I've been to a restaurant on a Monday, and I might grab the manager and say, hey, listen, you know what? I was here a couple weeks ago on a Friday, and I had this dish, and it was mouth-watering. I came back for it, and I got it on a Monday, and it was different. I know, I'm in the restaurant business. Different chefs work on a Monday than a Friday, so you had the B team in or the C team. I just giving you a heads up. I'm not gonna go on Yelp. I'm not gonna go on social media and tear anybody up, because that's a hard thing too. Because even look, there's been here or anything. We all have moments that are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I don't care who you are. I don't care what chef you are. We've all made mistakes. It's how you fix those. It's how you get up after that. And, that's kind of what I would do. If somebody had a bad experience in one of my places, tell the manager. It's not about bashing them on social media, and stuff like that. And listen, it's less about a guy like me, right? But some of the local little places, like, gotta have a heart for them.
Totally. And if you put them on blast, it really hurts them,
I mean, they need that vote of confidence,
Yeah, I think with all of us in food social media, it's really a balancing act between, having a bad experience. You don't want to put them on blast, telling them straight up what was wrong.
Yeah, no, you get it. You're in this world, And listen, you too, you're under a lot of pressure, because it's your integrity, it's what you do. So you got to go and taste and say what you think. You know what I'm trying to say? And you got to be real. Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, I get there's no joy in giving a shitty review, right?
No,
I mean, but there is a realism to what it is, right? And you have to call out what you liked or what you didn't like.
Yeah. Going forward with social media, though, you and your team have really done a phenomenal job on all platforms.
Thank you.
8.4 million followers on Facebook, 7 million on TikTok, 4.2 million on IG, and your presence on YouTube is unbelievable. CAKEBOSS has over 2 billion views on TikTok. Is that crazy?
That's a lot.
Yeah. And I love the balance between all the biz stuff, the family, the personal posts, which I think makes it even better. What's the team behind the scenes like for your social media?
Well, my social media team is great. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, you know, I'm the brain power behind it. I have a great team that helps me. You know, we say, all right, listen, let's create some content. What's going to be fun? And honestly, the idea is usually what's real. What's happening in my life? You know, my kids are this, or my wife is this, or new concept. Look, you wouldn't believe it, but I am so heavily involved in everything I do. Like it's incredible. And I'm not trying to put a cape on and say I'm Superman or looking for a pat on the back. But like every day I go into work when I'm at home, my day goes to my factory. And I go and I set the lines up with my staff and talk about what we're gonna make today. Oh, today we're gonna make red velvet cakes or red velvet slices. Like, you know, when we're doing red velvet slices in an 8-hour shift with 23 people, we could do 30,000 cake slices packaged, right?
Amazing.
So that's 8 cakes a minute, right? You know,
Right.
sliced between 12 or 14. And it's just like, you know, and that's bake, cut, trim. We have nitrogen tunnels, like things that I could have never, you know, we spray it with liquid nitrogen so it freezes, and then we're able to build it and assemble it. And honestly, I'm a geek when it comes to that. Like I love doing that, and I still, in my whites, get my hands dirty, in the mixes, doing the things, running the operation, and that's what I love to do. Like and I don't need to. Like, you know, I mean, I have a lot of different things, but that's where I feel my fulfillment. You know, what is the new creation? You know, what's the new recipe, or what's going to be the new cake, or the thing, and then, you know, I apply it into my concepts too. Like, what are we going to do for, you know, right now we're doing some additions at Buddy V's, which I don't know, I'm sure you've done this before, but when you do a restaurant tasting, you want to talk about like just, I mean, you eat the whole menu and you're like, oh my God. It's like the best and the worst thing that you've ever done in your life. You just eat until you gotta like throw up. Like you're just like, okay, I can't take another bite. I'm just gonna die here, and your belly's full and stuff like that. But I'm still involved in all those operations, and I love it. You know, I'm with the social media team. We're coming up with new content. The newest thing is the next generation, because my kids are at a cool age. My daughter Sophia is 19. She's a sophomore in UDel, University of Delaware. She's in hospitality, wants to come into my world. She's a driving force, really good at cake decorating, really artistic. And then I got my son Buddy, who's 18, who also loves to cook, loves the business. My son Marco, who's 15, who is like the mayor, because he could bullshit with anybody. He's just like great. And then my little guy Carlo is 11. So, you know, and they all want to be in the business, and you know, so it's like, what is the next chapter of the succession? Like, believe it or not, I don't know if I told you, but they're my partners in Jersey Eats.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and honestly, I made them put in their own money. I made them be the capital investor. I said, look, you guys got money in your bank, and I want you to do you believe in this concept? I told them what the idea was. I told them what I wanted to do, and it's me, my wife, and my kids in that concept. And they helped me create the menu. Well, we're Jersey people, right? So there's a lot of things that we love from Jersey, you know, and they're part of it. Like, so on my daughter's spring break or Christmas break, she'll come out here, she'll spend some time at the restaurants and stuff like that, and the concepts. And the same thing with my sons, you know? So they love running them, they love working in it, and I want them to know what it's like to own and operate a business.
That's priceless experience.
100%.
Especially from from you and all the family has been
Well,
through.
look. What's the top selling items? Do you change? Does this? What's the profit margins between things? What's happening? Everything that's going on. Looking at the P&Ls, it's a whole tutorial in business that I'm giving them, and it's funny because they're going through school doing it, but seeing a live thing is pretty amazing, So and that's actually part of what we're gonna be filming. So I signed a new deal with A&E.
Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna be filming 60 hours of television over the next 2 years, which is great. And one of the shows is going to be a concept of me and my factory and all the things that we create and do. But there's going to be a whole succession thing with the kids and stuff
Wow.
like that, which I think is cool.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
From anyone's vantage point, it seems like you have this unbelievable fire that fuels you to keep going and venturing out, trying new stuff, where it seems like many people at 17 or 18 now want everything very quickly. Is there any advice you could give to budding entrepreneurs?
Yeah, listen, nothing comes easy, and I tell my kids this all the time because they bake or they'll come to the bakery, but what I was doing at 17 and what my son does at 17 are two different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? I could have done a cake blindfolded at 17, literally, because I made thousands and thousands of them. They're not to that level, but in order to become a master at your craft, there's no bullshit. You have to make cake after cake after cake and squeeze piping bag after piping bag. Whether you're piping out eclairs and cream puffs or bagging, French cookies, or decorating a wedding cake or birthday cake, it's still the same principles, and it's about training that muscle memory. Like when I take a rolling pin and I roll dough, I feel like it's connected to my arm. I don't have to even, it's like walking and breathing. I don't think about it because I know exactly what I have to do, the way it goes. And it's funny because I remember I did a cooking show years ago. It was called CAKEBOSS. We did 80 episodes of it, and the premise was me cooking a camera. And again, I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous to do it because I'm a home cook. I didn't want people saying, oh, look, he's cutting the onion like that or whatever, I don't want to say insecure, but I was a little insecure about it. I wasn't insecure about what I was cooking because I knew what I was cooking was from the heart and it was the food that I love to eat. But I remember the culinary producer, one day I did a pie and I had to roll out the dough. And she said, I have never seen anybody move a rolling pin like that. The way it was connected with your arms. So it starts with your hand and you roll it on your arms and you're going side to side. And the way that you just pick up dough, she's like, it was mesmerizing, right? But the thing is you got to roll out thousands of pies, right? I remember Thanksgiving, I would make pies for 3 days straight, and I would be there 24 hours a day. And I'll never forget it because the old-fashioned way we did it was we would line up 8 pies on the shelf, and we would take a quart measure and we would put the pumpkin pie mix in about 3/4 of the way up. We'd fill them, and then we would shove them into the oven, and all the way. So you had 3 layers deep. So you had the shovel, you went all the way in the oven, and then we had a stick with a pot that my dad used to have. We used to stick our arms in the oven and fill them to the rim, because you couldn't get the pie all the way there or it would spill over. My arms would be burnt, all my arm hair, I had calluses on my hand and everything else. But you don't know until you've done that so many times where that's how you become a master of your craft. You have to go and do that. That's how you could do it where it's blindfolded, where it becomes second nature to you. And honestly, there's really no quick way to do it. I gotta say, certain people are more advanced. Like when I picked up a pastry bag or I became good quick. it came natural to me. Some, you know, Aaron Judge is going to be better at baseball than I am, right?
Right.
Yeah, it is what it is. But that's the thing. So, you know, certain people just comes natural or whatever. But I don't think that you could ever escape that experience of either cooking on the line or, you know, feeling that burn when the shit's going and the flames and everything, or the same thing in the kitchen and what we do. You know, I mean, I say, I was telling somebody yesterday, we were talking about when I was running the bakery before I was CAKEBOSS, and I had met my wife, and date night. So again, and my wife, she's a saint for putting up with my craziness, because I'm a lunatic. Like, you know, I always have ideas, and I'm 100 miles an hour, and you know, I'm like, and listen, a lot of successful people have those crazy attributes, all right? Because I know a lot of successful people, and the crazier they are, the more successful they are. That's just the truth, right? I mean, and I'm sure you
manic.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, they're obsessive compulsive. They're like this. They're like this. So there's different attributes to that. And I remember when we were dating on the weekends, I used to have to do 40 to 50 wedding cakes on a Friday night.
Unbelievable.
And I would be the only one left at the bakery, and she would come and she would make dinner, and we would have a dinner, and then she would sit down, and I would have 6 turntables going. I would have this whole assembly line of cakes, and I would pipe, then to the next one, and I would just make cakes till 3-4 o'clock in the morning, until I would go home, and I couldn't even move my arm because I squeezed 5 barrels or garbage cans full of buttercream, right? And yeah, listen, that was my life.
Yeah, critical life experiences that led you to.
Critical, you know, and you could even, nobody wanted to stay. It wasn't like, you know, and again, too, then we got into the level where I was making nicer cakes. So it wasn't like you could just go hire someone. Like, they weren't to your level. You know, I remember being 19, interviewing cake decorators that would come in, and I would tell my brother-in-law, this guy don't even know how to hold a knife. You know, and I would, you know, I would be able to do a cake like that. So, you know, I really felt like my best employees were homegrown. So it was the people who started out as a pot washer, and then wind up going up, and then they would work with me day in and day out, and they didn't know any other techniques, like, you know, this is how we make cakes. We're gonna line up 6 tables, we're gonna have the cream in the middle, 3 this way, 3 this way, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I would set up these assembly lines, right? So that's the way my mind works. By nature, I'm a problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's how the route is going to be to the airport, or whether it's how we're going to do 8 cakes a minute, to me, I get a sense of satisfaction by solving that problem, right? And when I applied that to baking, and then I started doing it with machinery and this and that, and you know, that's what I'm good at. I love to do that.
So cool. We're about to wrap it up, but I'm going to go into 10 questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rapid fire, whatever comes to your mind. Number 1, who is your favorite musician to come out of New Jersey?
Oh, it's close. It's. I mean, there's 4 of them. Sinatra, Hoboken Boy Like Me.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Sinatra. Yeah.
Frankie Valli, Bon Jovi, and Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Gotta love the boss.
Totally.
And they were all like legends, so, you know.
Yeah, Jersey Mount Everest.
You
for
got
sure.
it.
I've seen some crazy ways to reheat a pizza. What is your favorite way to reheat a pizza at home?
I'm an oven guy. You got to do it, rack it in the oven. You put it right on the rack. You go in the oven, 400 degrees. You know, if it's frozen, like 10, 12 minutes. If it's refrigerated, probably like 8.
All right. 2020 was obviously a super tough time for anyone in the restaurant industry. With a couple years under the belt since then, What are some of the silver lining or ways that your business has actually improved because of those tough times?
E-commerce. We didn't really, not that we didn't do e-commerce, but if we didn't do e-commerce during COVID, I don't know what would have happened. But it also opened the door to show us a whole new opportunity. Christmas week this year, we shipped out 40,000 packages that Christmas week. That's 600,000 pounds of dry ice. Just so you, just to put that in, you know, like.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah. You're a diehard New York Giants fan.
Oh, I was at the game the other day, broke my heart.
Oh, that was a rough game.
Jesus.
Favorite player of all time?
Oh, I got two, Lawrence Taylor for sure, and Michael Strahan. And Michael is like the nicest guy in the world. I was actually with him the other night at the game. Love him. You know, him and LT. I tease him. I'm like, you know, you're my number two. I'm like, you know,
I love it.
I'm like, when he's like, listen, it's LT, it's LT, you know?
What's your second favorite country for desserts? I'm assuming it at least number one.
My second favorite country for desserts. That's tough. That's really tough. I'm going to say Italy is my second.
Oh.
And I'm going to say America is my favorite. And I'm going to tell you why. America is a melting pot. So we have the best of the best from all over the world. So we got everything, right? You know, whether we're getting Italian influence, French influence, Asian influence, we're getting, you know, influence from the Middle East, we're getting influence from Africa or South America. You know, so I think that the fact that we have all of it here makes us the best. And in cuisine, because you classify American cuisine as, all right, yeah, you can try to classify it, but realistically, we get it all here, right? We can have any type of cuisine you want, you get here. So is it really un-American? No, everybody came here with a dream for a better life with their family and their recipes, and to me, it's all American.
Awesome. My Italian sister-in-law wants to know if you pray to St. Anthony if you lose something.
I do, and I wear St. Anthony.
Okay,
So-
she was going to ask that too. Boom.
This chain. This chain I never take off. This was the chain that my father wore.
Oh, wow.
And when he died, I put it on, and I never took it off.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the number of people that stop to talk to you or want to take a selfie with you on any given day. Any recent memorable or funny fan interactions you care to share?
Listen, my fans are the best in the world. You know, I've had my fill of all kinds of crazy things and requests, but at the end of the day, they see me, they know me, they know my family, and what you see is what you get. You could like me, you could hate me. I am who I am. Fan comes up to me, wants to give me a hug, I give him a hug. You know, if a fan comes up to me and wants to take a picture, I take a picture. It's part of the gig, you know. I can never. It wasn't my parents didn't raise me where I could ever say no to that, and I never will.
And then finally, I mean, this isn't easy, but is there one cake in your entire career that was the craziest? I mean, I've seen the Bumblebee one, the 14-foot alligator, the fire truck that puts out fires. Do you have a favorite? Like, if aliens land on Earth and asked you to show them a cake.
It would be one of two. It would be the Bumblebee,
Okay.
or the cake we did on season 3 of Buddy Valastro. We did like this kind of like it was kind of like a nuclear dinosaur that, you know, was just insane. It had light up spines, and you know, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. It was like almost a little Godzilla-like, but you know, it wasn't exactly Godzilla. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget that this is art as well. The food art that you put together, it's just amazing.
Well, you see, and that's the difference, because you really look at, okay, to me, there's an art of folding French pastry and making the most beautiful Napoleons with layers of flaky, buttery, salty, you know, layers, but then taking it and turning a cake into the bumblebee cake. Very different spectrums, right? Very different things, but I have appreciation for all of it, and it's all kind of my thing.
Amazing, amazing. Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you, Buddy, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Michelle Wilmoth, Marketing PR Manager extraordinaire, for making this happen.
Love Michelle.
And yeah, for additional information on Buddy Valastro, please visit carlosbakery.com or follow Buddy Valastro on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at CakeBoss Buddy or CakeBoss Buddy on Twitter. There we go.
Cool.
Boom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
This
Appreciate
is awesome.
it. Oh, it was, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegasville podcast. For more information about me and where I've been dining recently, check out my IG and TikTok at Las Vegasville. Feel free to text or leave me a voicemail about anything you want, 702-551-4445. Stay tuned as a new episode of the show debuts every Monday morning.